You can continue to work as an air traffic controller till the time you're 60. So it's like any other job, but it has its own advantages. Like I said, the work-life balance is good. So the prime objective of an air traffic controller is to make sure that aircrafts are flying safely from one point to another point, transferring people from point A to point B, safely, efficiently, and on time. Use all the resources to make sure that the airspace is utilized to the best optimal possibility. If somebody had completed either an engineering degree in any stream or a BSc with maths, physics, and chemistry in English medium, they will be eligible to apply for this particular post, for this particular category. You should be from science background. Arts and commerce are not allowed or not accepted in this field. But since you studied your maths and physics in 12th grade, and most of the bachelor programs also make sure that the physics and maths are included in the first year of syllabus. I think any degree, as long as it is science degree, I think you are accepted. You are welcome to join this program. So it requires a lot of presence of mind, it requires a lot of analytical skills, it requires a lot of anticipation of situations, and it requires a lot of preparedness. You start your shift with hoping that nothing is going to go wrong, but you should always be ready for the unexpected to happen anytime. So that requires a lot of preparation, that requires a lot of understanding. So the recruitment is based on the anticipated demand. Once you submit an application form, the initial screening is done, and once everything is in order, then you will be initially you will be asked to take a written test. The written test is going to be an OMR-based examination, objective examination. There is no subjective answers required. It's going to be an objective paper. It is of 120 marks. That's a total number. So the questions will be based on the syllabus of the graduation level, maths, physics, and of course certain English grammar also will be there. 100 controllers to join, and you have 500 people taking the test. So they'll pick up the top 150. That's how the selection process happens. Some airports operate maybe for 4 hours to 6 hours a day. Some airports operate for 12 hours a day. Maybe some airports operate for 24 hours a day. So these days, most of the airports are operating on a 24/7 cycle. So typically, when you talk about a typical day, air traffic controllers are usually they work in shifts. You don't have though you have a general shift which is into general operations and the management aspects, which is a shared responsibility. But since we are talking about active air traffic controlling, the air traffic controllers work in shifts. Usually, each shift is for 6 hours. So it can start at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, depending upon the local requirements and watch hours. You have 6 hours of shift, which is in the morning shift. Then you have 6 hours of shift in the afternoon. But when it comes to night shift, you have 12 hours of shift. Because night traffic is, you have something called peak hours, then you have something called lean hours. So you are not going to work for 12 hours continuously. So the night shift is usually for 12 hours. So you have 3 shifts structure, 6 hours of morning and 6 hours of afternoon, and 12 hours of night. Though you are going to work in a specific shift, whether it is morning, afternoon, or night, which is ranging from 6 hours to 12 hours, you are not going to work and sit on the channel continuously. Because once you sit on the channel for 2 hours, you are relieved by a fellow controller who is going to relieve you for 30 minutes. Because the kind of stress that is there when you handle the traffic, when you're talking to the pilots on the channel, it's tremendous. So if you are continuing to monitor the channel, if you are continuing to work on the channel for more than 2 hours, your performance is going to be degraded in some other way. Your attention span can be affected. Your focus could be affected. Your ability to deliver could be affected. So taking all these aspects into consideration, there is always a gap. There is a break given to controllers. So you sit on channel for 2 hours, then you take a break for half an hour and come back and resume your responsibility. That's how the shift goes. And when you talk about night shift, usually the number of controllers available in night shift is double the controllers available in the day shift, because it's spanning for almost 12 hours. So there you get more frequent breaks. And in case if there is low lean hour, let's say from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, there is no aircraft landing and taking off, then that's your free time. You can relax and you can probably doze down for a while. And you can come back to traffic as and when the traffic starts. This is how typically your day looks like. The work-life balance. Like I said, the work doesn't come back to you. You don't have a target. there are no deadlines, no targets. That is something most of the people would love these days. I think that's the biggest advantage I see. That's first thing. And second thing is, once you become an air traffic controller, obviously you have airports in developed cities. So your social life is going to be better. You are always connected. Wherever you are posted, if you want to go to your hometown or wherever you want to go, you have a plane to take. So you are going to be posted at relatively bigger cities and towns, and you are well connected, and you are going to live in a developed city or country or town, city, whatever it is. So there are a lot of advantages, and you can start your career early. The competition is less to manage the time. Because what happens is your attention has to be on the top of it. Your situational awareness has to be on top of it. You cannot have any distractions as such. Let's say in 5 minutes you're going to pack up. You have no opportunity to distract in whatsoever. That is the biggest challenge. People have any conceptions about air traffic controlling because most of the people are not even aware of there is something called this option is existing. Yes. So very few people will be aware of these job profiles, and that's the reason even today when we talk about the air traffic controllers, if you look at the sanctions established strength versus actual controlling, there is a deficit of almost 40%. So we are always understaffed, and this is considered one of the most intricate jobs. But it requires a lot of complex decision making and all that stuff. So if we talk about misconceptions, I would say people think it's very easy job. You just have to sit on a radio telephone and keep answering the questions and the transmissions given by the pilot. That's not the case. There are a lot of analytical skills that go behind. There's a lot of the biggest challenge of an air traffic controller is you need to understand the limitations of the mission and the man. Because like I said, when a pilot is flying an aeroplane at 30,000 feet, 40,000 feet, though it is a very most advanced and fail-proof mechanism, but ultimately a system can fail anytime. That is something that you can't anticipate, you can't predict. So you should be in a position to take decision in the split of a second, because every second counts. But since this profession is not very well known among the youngsters and as well as the parents, and the intake of air traffic controllers was very less, and there is a lot of demand for air traffic controllers thanks to the growing industry. Aviation is growing leaps and bounds. We have close to little over 4,500 controllers in the country, all airports put together. It's very small in number, but then because the number is so small, and it is not something which is very well known to most of the parents and the students, the competition is less. So this is one advantage I would like to bring out here. So there is an anticipated demand of close to 7,000 controllers in the next 3 to 5 years. It's a PSU, public sector undertaking. So they have certain fixed scales attached to it. So there is a career progression also that happens as you develop and gain experience. So typically, once you complete your graduation, you go through the selection process, you join the training program, then you are under training, that you are still considered as an employee of Airport Authority of India only. So usually the scale starts at 40,000. That's going to be your basic salary, and you have a lot of additional perks like HRA, travel allowance, and controlling allowances and all. So I would say average once you start your career, you start drawing about 75 to 80,000 per month. That's how you begin your career as an air traffic controller in Airport Authority of India. Then as you scale up, once you complete your training, once you go to while you're undergoing training, you are called as, like I said, a trainee air traffic controller or junior executive training as they call it. And once you're posted to unit, your designation is going to be junior executive. So you spend some time as a junior executive to get hang of the systems, and you complete your the local trainings there and get your certifications. Then you get air traffic controller's license. Initially, you're working on student air traffic controller's license. Then you eventually get your air traffic controller's license and get your ratings and endorsements, like you're trained on aerodrome at a particular airport, then you're trained on approach at a particular airport, and then you get the radar training in that particular airport. Then you get your ratings endorsed on that. Then there are certain rating allowances. So that's where you are called as a junior executive. That's how you begin your career, professional career, where you start earning about 75,000 to 80,000 all inclusive. And then you eventually become assistant manager, then you become manager, then you become senior manager, then you become assistant general manager, then you become joint deputy manager, deputy general manager, and joint general manager. So this is how, and finally you become GM, then you can become executive director, and finally you can become member board. This is how the career progresses. So if you look at the career progression, till joint GM, the promotions are time scale promotions. You spend certain years in each rank, and then you are promoted to a next rank. Thereafter, it is based on interview and the vacancies and all the stuff. So this is how your career progresses. Once you become GM, the average pay can go up to, depending upon your qualifications, experience, and ratings. It can be anywhere between 3.5 lakhs to close to 5.5 lakhs. So that's how you work. When you talk about the career progression, there are certain promotions which are time bound, and there are certain promotions and appointments which are based on your experience and qualifications and performance. So moving down the line after 10 to 12 years, where you're waiting for your strategic positions or operations positions or management positions, if you are holding a master's degree in science stream, that might come handy to you. If you don't catch up with what is happening in the industry, then you're considered dull and dumb. If you want to progress, if you want to survive in this industry, you have no option but to improve yourself.
Definitely.
The continuous learning is a must for every industry, but it is all the more evident when you want to survive as an HR controller, because any lack from your side, maybe because of you did not learn something, or maybe because you did not know how to apply practically, or maybe you are not even aware of certain provision or rule, then it can cost somebody dear. It could be a pilot, it could be a flight, it could be hundreds of passengers. So that cannot be an excuse. It's not an option. It's a mandatory requirement that you need to improve yourself.
Definitely.
You need to keep yourself updated with updated technology. Otherwise, you're going to be the weakest link in the chain. And no system would like to have a weak link. You'll be replaced or you'll be shunned out. So that's not an option. It's a compulsion. You must do that. That was most challenging period, I would say. The entire world has come to a stop, except two industries: aviation and pharmaceuticals and the medical field. So it was very challenging because there were flights which were the passenger flights which used to transport 200 people from point A to point B were converted, or they were used for transporting vaccines and medicines across the globe. So it was people were very terrorized. People were scared to go out. But then as an air traffic controller, because airport is something which cannot be shut for whatsoever reasons, airport operations continued even during pandemic. Though there are commercial operations are suspended, the mercy missions, the charity missions, the medical missions, the cargo, as everything was continuing, aviation industry was live and ticking. Air traffic controllers were working. It was very tough period for the air traffic controllers to survive under those terrible times. It was very difficult for people to go to office and work with all those apprehensions. But when we look back today, the way people worked in those tough times, making sure that the traffic is not disrupted, medicines are delivered on time, the relief is provided on time, passengers who traveled airlifted, people who were in last stage were airlifted and they were survived. So when we look back to what we did 2 years back, 3 years back, though I was not personally involved in active controlling then, but I think every controller who's in the industry in the year 2020, 2021, 2022, I think they'll be the most happiest, and the kind of fulfillment that it's an achievement for them, because at the end of the day, whatever profession that you're doing, if you're able to save a life, I mean, what more can you ask for? So people who were part of air traffic controllers, the community across different airports, who survived this tough times during the pandemic, I think they are. I would say they are very lucky. They should consider it, and I'm sure they are considering themselves very lucky because they were able to be part of a process where lives were saved. So that is what has happened during the pandemic. There are a lot of lessons that were learned. The kind of development that was expected in Indian aviation, which was expected that will happen in 2030, 2035, is already there. Courtesy is fine. There are a lot of good things happened because of the pandemic. Though there are a lot of issues that we have to face, challenges, but on the other hand, when it comes to aviation industry evolution, it has affected aviation in a very positive manner also. So the development which is expected to happen 10 years later is already here. The mindset of people has changed. Somebody who wants to travel, let's say you want to go from place A to place B, which is 500 kilometers, 600 kilometers, if you can drive down, it takes about 6 hours, 8 hours, people are preferring to drive down. Anything beyond that, people are preferring to fly, because you go there, finish your work and come back. So this is very, safety is ensured, hygiene is ensured, protocols are followed. It is considered one of the safest mode of transportation. So more people are preferring to fly by air. So the affordability is also there. The airfares are, though in the last 1 year they have been a little expensive, but most of the people it has become affordable. So air travel is picking up 4 times faster than what was expected. Airports are already finding saturations. New airports are taking time. So I think it has done some good to aviation industry also, though there are some challenges. But I think at the end of the day, that's how aviation industry learns. Every time there is a challenge, every time there is a problem in aviation industry, they suffer, they fall, and they rise back. And they rise back with more strength and more determination and more energy. That's how aviation industry has been all these years.